Hello, the first topic that we will be discussing is fear. What is fear? For me, fear is that very culprit that keeps us from doing something greater. It's that very thing that keeps us from crossing that very thin line that separates here and there. What's here is something that we're very familiar with, something we feel safe in and secured in and confident in. What's out there, we don't know, we're clueless, we wouldn't know how to deal with it, which I think is why we have fear. Or why we fear. We fear the unknown. We fear change. A very shallow or daft example is people fearing ghosts or people being afraid of the dark. They fear ghosts because they are unknown creatures. We don't really know how to interact with them, and the dark because it's the unknown too, and whatever we encounter in there, we wouldn't know what to expect and how to deal with it. And another example is how people limit their loved ones from doing things. Just so you know, it's a fear. As I said earlier, fear is what keeps you from being someone greater than you already are. And let's say parents keeping their children from being so creative and exploring just because they wouldn't want to risk their kids getting hurt in the real world. Let's say a kid wants to go to another place to for college, and the parents wouldn't want that because they wouldn't know what kind of trouble or challenge the child. They already anticipated. They don't know what kind of things the child will be dealing there, and they fear that the child will be a different person when they get back. So they'd rather stay safe and confine the child in a certain place where they are always connected. You know, it they the parents are keeping their children from experiences that will actually make them grow as a person. It's why that's they have the saying, "Better be safe than sorry." Okay, fine, better be safe than sorry. But when you think about it, if you keep on living on that line or code, it defeats the whole purpose of living. Because living is about getting out there, experiencing life, and grasping and growing. But if you keep on limiting people you love or people around you from getting there, it's all the bottom line is fear because you fear for them or you fear of what you wouldn't know what to expect, the result of whatever action that's about to take place. And let's say fear also suppresses a lot of emotions. You know, control. Some parents or some authorities, teachers, I'm not pinpointing anyone, or religions as well. Okay, if you didn't do your homework, if you cheated, you go to detention, you're suspended, you're expelled. In religions and churches, pastors preach, oh, you have to follow this word, follow this, follow that. I'm not trying to offend anyone. I'm just I'm speaking in general truth. Okay, they 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 implant fear into people by telling them that something bad is going to happen if they don't do this, where in fact they haven't even done anything yet, and you're already implanting that fear in them. So you suppress so much emotions in them. Let's say a parent tells their kids, "Hey, don't go out in the dark. There would be like bad guys catching you." You know, which isn't a bad thing, but it keeps just as long as you implant that fear in them, it will create a bigger impact than you intend to create. If you just intend for if your intention was just for their safety, for all you know, it will have a ripple effect in their lives in the future. They wouldn't take as much risks anymore because they fear of certain things, of doing certain things, just because of that very small thing that they've experienced with you, telling them or restricting them from doing something. Yeah, and another thing is, I think fear, one like losing someone, let's say that kind of fear, I think is somehow related to self-preservation. Let's say someone you loved or someone very close to you got into an accident, and immediately you're struck with so much pain that you want to switch with that person. I hope I was that person there and that person was the one alive, just because you wouldn't want to endure the pain because of how much love you have towards that person. You would rather be dead rather than living, not living without something that you love. Make sense? Yeah, because let's say I'd rather be sick than my daughter being sick or my son being sick, because you love them so much that you wouldn't want them to endure the pain, because when they go through so much pain, that doubles the pain that you go through. When I think about it, I don't think fear should exist. I think fear is just pretty much an illusionary emotion towards things that is unknown, or like we just have fear just because we don't know what to expect or how to deal with them, how to react towards things. In fact, fear is an acronym. Like, fear stands for false experiences appearing real. Just because when we fear, we we have this and we have this certain emotion towards something that hasn't even taken place yet. So what's the point of fearing something that hasn't even gone through yet? Just it's a waste of time fearing something, because it'll really keep us from doing, like, instead of fearing, we could have done something already. Instead of not doing anything just because you fear, you're very restricted and suppressed. You'd rather stay stationary rather than going out there saving another person's life or making a difference just because you fear. Oh, another thing, fear of judgment. Just so you know, you should not fear judgment, because everything you do is for yourself. If ever you have this intention of giving or sharing something special to other people, it's because you are satisfied by it. It begins in your heart. It begins with yourself. Before it, you cannot share something to the world if you have not started it with yourself. So do not fear judgment, because you do things for yourself and not for other people. And the fear of pain and the fear of getting hurt, these kinds of fear, if we let them take over us, if we let them engulf us, we are in the risk of living life that is not, like, we are in the risk of not taking risks, which I believe is the biggest risk of all. Like, it really defeats the whole purpose of living. So I suggest that please let go of your fears. Live life, take risks, because fear is just really, really illusionary. It does not exist at all. So, not taking a risk is the greatest risk you could ever make in your life. So please let go of your fear again and live life. Thank you.